Hi, this is János, Real World Audio, and let's dig into transformer choices. So Jan asked me a question about transformer choices for a single-ended EL84 amplifier. So this is his question. Could you please advise if Hammond 1628 SEA is a good loudspeaker transformer for single-ended EL84 tube amp? Is there anything better on the market in similar price? What about Amorphous audio transformers? Is this good direction? Thank you. So thank you, Ian, for your question. And I would say it's not a bad transformer. And because it's I think quite good value for the price they are asking. And however, let's have a look at this transformer. So basically I just looked up DigiKey, and what it says is this transformer has a 5K primary impedance, and to me this is a bit on the low side for an EL84, which is a 6BQ5. That's the American designation for it. For an EL84, I would rather use an 8K primary. That's where it shines at its best. This is really on the lower side. It will still work with a 5K load. Of course, you will have higher power output with a 5K load than an 8K. But you will also have higher distortion. Or I know this is just like a mathematical way of seeing things, compromise for a certain gain, like compromising distortion for power output. But really, if you just think about listening to it, then these things mean that with the 5K you will have like a less controlled sound, and it will be more punchy, more powerful, but I think you are building it single-ended and not push-pull, because you want purity of sound from the EL84, and this is not the most optimal way to get that last bit of purity that you want to get by going single-ended versus push-pull. Anyway, so I found another one at with Hammond, and this unit is the 1629 SCA, and it has a 6.5K primary, so it's a 6.5K load instead of 5K. That's a bit closer to 8K. I didn't see an 8K version of these big 30-watt units. This is like a 10 pounds, roughly 5 kilogram size output transformer. It's really solid, really, I would say, oversized for a single EL84 tube, but you will get that effortless sound with it by using this really big iron. And also the advantage of big iron is that its low end is a lot more substantial than the smaller units, and usually when you use a lower output tube like an EL84, which is like 2-3 watts of power, then the bass is usually compromised with the commercial EL84 single-ended amplifiers, because of the small size output transformer they are shipped with, and not because it has less power than, let's say, 100-watt output tube or solid state amplifier. And when you go for these bigger 25-30 watt size units like the 5 kilo 10 pound range, then you have an octave lower output in the bass compared to choosing a 10-15 watt unit. So I would say if you want to go for Hammond, go for this, and look at that. The price is significantly lower compared to the price of the 5K unit. I don't know why. They are the exact same size, exact same cost for raw materials, exact same cost to put them together. Maybe I would say that probably they have an overstock of the 6.5K units, because the 5K is usually the one that most people use for most situations. So I think that's why it's substantially cheaper. So I think what I would say, probably for your project, this would be the best price performance ratio unit you will find. And you also asked if I can suggest similar priced units from other manufacturers, and my other that I would recommend is Edcor. Let's just come here. This is an American company, Edcor USA, and I know here I'm showing the 8K, but this is a push-pull transformer, and they have single-ended as well, but I seen that they did not have an 8K single-ended, just like Hammond. They have 6.5K unit as well. So, and I would say that the Edcor 6.5K 25 watt unit is better than the Hammond. So if you want better sound quality, go for the Edcor. They cost roughly the same. Here it lists like 180 for this push-pull unit. I think for the single-ended it's roughly the same. I know here it says 100 watt for this push-pull iron, but the 25 watt single-ended uses the same iron. It's the same 5 kilo size, 10 pound size. It's just that in push-pull configuration the wattage is a lot higher because the lamination is stacked in a different way, but you are getting kind of the same thing in stacked for push-pull versus single-ended. And why am I saying push-pull? I really want you to consider push-pull EL84s, because so for me, if I were to build an EL84 amplifier, I will definitively build it push-pull. And the reason for that is that the EL84 is perhaps the tube that sounds just like single-ended amplifiers when you use it in a push-pull configuration. All the other tubes, including like EL34, which is like the double output version of the EL84, if you put it in a push-pull configuration, you lose a lot of that single-ended magic that it has in a single-ended version. But when you have an EL84 push-pull amp and you compare its sonic signature with single-ended amplifiers, if when you don't tell people what they are listening to, people tend to think that this is a single-ended amp that they are hearing. And in the case that you have a lower efficiency loudspeaker, and under lower I mean under 90 dB per watt meter, then definitively my choice would be to go for push-pull configuration. And if your speaker is like 86 dB or 87, 88 dB efficient, per watt meter efficient, then I would say that your push-pull EL84 will sound like a fantastic single-ended amplifier, while the single-ended version will struggle and just give you headaches and the desire to upgrade, and will lead you to a very long goose chase. And I had that experience to have the Stereo 35, which is an EL84 push-pull amp, a beautifully restored version of it, compared to my Darling amp with an 86 dB efficient loudspeaker, and the comparison was that the single-ended Darling amp sound, the mid-range sounded like totally lean and useless on that loudspeaker compared to the push-pull EL84, which sounded like with that loudspeaker like I had the best single-ended amps sound on high efficiency loudspeaker. And I'm not thinking here about like the resolution or audiophile parameters, but the ability of the system to connect me with the singer, to connect with the emotional content of the music. The EL84 push-pull can connect you deeply with music, even with a very vast array of loudspeakers, and I think this is really critical for those of us who are, although now maybe you have the room and the space and the means to have like a big high efficiency loudspeaker, but in case you have to downsize and move to a single room, a small room, and downsize your loudspeakers to very small loudspeakers, then for me I would take an EL84 push-pull amplifier to amplify that. So if you choose this project to be an EL84, then that amplifier does have the potential to be the amplifier that lasts you until the day you pass away. And like 20 years ago I wouldn't have thought much about things like that, but now I'm thinking more and more, and as my audio buddies age and I'm also not that super young, I have really these thoughts that what to have an amplifier that I can consider as my amplifier in case something happens to me or my family and I'm forced to live in a home with very little ability to care for my audio system. So something that's rugged enough and sound as good as what I have right now, and is able to fill me with music and connection to music. So that's why I just cannot underemphasize how good this output transformer is. And for push-pull EL84 I would definitively go with this transformer, and this can be the last amplifier you ever build, because you will need no more. And the only reason you would want another amplifier is just diversity, but this will be the heart of a push-pull amp that's capable of playing any recorded music. Because for the single-ended configuration, especially if you have really low power output, they do have a preference for certain music genres, and for example those music which are not really well recorded, such as like pop music or a lot of rock music, which really shine on systems where the bass is really pumped up, those don't sound well on a single-ended configuration, and the EL84 push-pull does make everything sound really, really good. And I would say it does not make it sound good, but it can play music with anything you throw at it. If you are looking at a single-ended version, the 2A3 would be the same tube in a DHT tube as like an EL84. If someone is thinking about building a single-ended tube, like a DHT version of an EL84, but there as well I would recommend the push-pull version, and the push-pull 2A3 can just play anything and everything, And yes, like a type 45 or a type 10 or a 211, whatever, do have sides and aspects where they outshine it and can do more, or more resolution, more fine detail, etc. But I can guarantee to any of you, if you have like a push-pull 2A3 amplifier and another amp, in 10 years you will notice that you have done 90% of your listening with the push-pull 2A3. And the same goes with a push-pull EL84. So anyway, Edcor also has the single-ended version of this unit, the 6.5K. If you dig around a little bit, you can find it. Let's see, let's just dig around. Click on transformers, class. Oh wait, what's happening? Single-ended output, classic tube audio, and we scroll down. 25 watt, what is that? 2.5K, 3.3K, 5K. This is the one you see there. Let's click on it. $155 each, so about the same price as the Hammond. However, here you have only a single output tap, so this is a limit. But if you have an 8-ohm speaker, then and you don't want to play around with it, change speakers, then this will be good. If not, if you want multiple speakers, then the Hammond is a better choice because it has 3 taps. It has 4-ohm, 8-ohm and 16-ohm taps. That's definitively an advantage. However, Edcor, they are really reasonable people, and if you have, let's say, a 16-ohm speaker or a 4-ohm speaker, then you can ask them to custom make it for you with a 4-ohm or 16-ohm tap, and they will do that. So for me, they did a custom job like that, and I think they asked like $20 for the customization, which is like a kind of like a basically free. So that's something to think about. However, this limitation is also an advantage. Because of the single tap, it has a better quality output than multiple taps. That's just one of the physical rules and limitations of how you build an output transformer, is if you design it with a single tap, that will have better quality output than having multiple taps. So this is a choice that you just have to make for yourself. Which is more important to you, versatility or that last bit of quality that you get from the iron? And don't be alarmed that here it says 25 watt while the Hammond says 30 watts. They are the exact same size, and actually Hammond has rated its unit with 30 watts and 120 milliamps of quiescent current, while the Edcor is 25 watt but 200 milliamps of quiescent current. So you can say that they have like the same magnetic potential for both units, and actually if you run them at the same quiescent current, let's say at like 60 to 80 milliwatts, something like that, I mean milliamps, then it both of them will give you roughly the same power output, because if you have less quiescent current, you have more wattage at your disposal. So basically this is a 25 watt while you have 200 milliamp of quiescent current. Of course, at a much lower current you will have higher wattage, just like the way Hammond specified its unit. What else? You also asked about amorphous core transformers. Let's have a look at it. Lundals. And now you notice that these are out because the price of this unit is like 3 times the price of the Hammond and the Edcor. So this is the amorphous cores are not viable for your project because that's a very different price range. However, I would disqualify the Lundas for a single-ended EL84, not for their prices, but because of their character, sonic signature. For the sonic signature, the Edcors and the Hammonds are absolutely perfect. These will really play to the strength of how the EL84 sounds and how its sonic character is, and the vast core size, the vast wattage will give it just that extra body to the sound and that extra flash. The EL84s are I think their prime benefit is that fleshed out sound that they have, that amazing tone and the density of sound that they provide this tone with, and these huge units they will really play into that and amplify that quality of EL84 and present the EL84 at its best. The Lundas, they in comparison will have a more leaner sound and a sculpted sound, more resolved as well, but it's very removed from the EL84 character. I'm not saying it will not work out, but I'm saying that it will give you a much more limited and much more specialized amplifier, where you will be able to enjoy some specially recorded materials more, or I would say get like higher resolution and detail level out of them, or bigger maybe even bigger dynamics, low level detail retrieval, but it will certainly narrow very seriously the range of music that you will play, that you will feed that amplifier. It will kind of like make you dislike the majority of your recordings and just like maybe like 10% of what you have, versus the Hammond and the Edcor, allowing you to put anything and everything in your collection, be it the highest bitrate audiophile, most modern recording, or just a CD, or reel to reel, or music recorded transferred from Victrola. Anything, really, anything and everything will sound at its best, especially these early music and music that you thought were not recorded properly. It will be able to present it to you in a way that sounds better than you ever heard before. So I think this is very important about it. And if you want to have like the Lundal path, but at the price acceptable, then from AliExpress, these are the units that I got from AliExpress, and these are 8K primary single-ended transformers. These are Amorphous cores, Amorphous iron core transformers, and same price as you are looking for, and they use recycle British cores, and they wind their bobbins, their coils, and they put it together, and the price they are selling these units is like 10 times less than compared to what it would cost if it was like the original British transformer, or like a Lundal. However, what I noticed with this is that it is even more leaning towards the high frequencies than like a Lundal Amorphous core would compare to an Edcor. And in my system, which I can show here, I just removed this, and here you don't see the amp, but you see my speakers. with these speakers I can make that this Amorphous core transformer work from China, because here when you look, that's my compression driver, and here you see the woofer cabinet, and that's the crossover. So I really hope that you guys can see that little magnifier loupe there, that pointer. So that thing is the crossover, and my crossover is adjustable, so I can level the compression driver compared to the bass. And the way my crossover frequencies are, the compression driver is crossed over at 500 Hertz, like super duper low, second order 500 Hertz, and by adjusting its level, it perfectly levels with different EQ transformers. So basically, like let's say here, this unit has a ton more high frequency compared to the Edcor. So in my case, I changed the Edcor, not this exact unit, but the 10K primary version. So almost the same thing, but not for this tube, but for another tube, the 807 that I have, which would be kind of like a big brother to the EL84. And what I noticed, that when I changed here, then here I need like a 4 or 5 dB cut from the high frequencies compared to the Edcor and Hammond, how these are balanced. These have natural balances, and when I go here, this actually has more balance than my Edcor had, but a whole lot more high frequencies than the Edcor had. So in general, I have to cut down the highs a lot more, and with my speaker here, I can do that by simply adjusting my crossover. But I don't know of any other loudspeaker on the planet where this adjustment can be done so smoothly and naturally, with every single 2 or 3-way speaker adjusting the highs and lows, the leveling them. I never ever got acceptable balance after all. Maybe I could find a balance between lows and highs, but somehow they didn't mesh together as well as they did before. So I would say, if you don't have the Voice of Lancelot loudspeakers, then do not look at the Amorphous core options. Look at Edcor if you have an 8 ohm tap, or you want to custom make whatever ohm secondary. If you want, they can build you like a 10 ohm or 6 ohm. I had a 6 ohm secondary made for myself, so that's a really nice thing. You can really customize it extremely well to your loudspeaker, or just get this Hammond 1629 SEA, and then this will have give you the freedom to basically throw any loudspeaker at it, be it like 4, 8 or 16 ohms. And if it's between them, like 6 ohm or 10 ohm or 12 ohms, then just try out both taps which are in the neighborhood, like 8 ohm and 16 ohm, to try out for the 10 or 12 ohm speaker and see which one you prefer, which sounds better. So that's my advice for output transformer choices for EL84, and of course my hidden unexpected advice to significantly consider the push-pull version, building the push-pull version, because I cannot underemphasize how good the EL84 push-pull is that it gives you, actually it gives me like mid-range with the same palpability, same emotional content as single-ended mid-range does. Plus, it also gives you access to any and every music ever recorded on planet Earth, and that's something that extremely few amplifiers can do. That's the hardest thing to do, I think, to build an amplifier that can connect you with that wide range of music. That's just nothing short of a miracle, and I think it's an attribute of any amplifier that trumps every other attribute that we can find on the long term. So thank you, Jan, and enjoy your challenge, and I hope you can now choose the unit that you need for your project. And if you need more advice, have more questions, just post and ask. Bye bye.